morning, everybody. My name is Mrs. Okafo. I'm a teacher in African Church Model College. I'm an English teacher, to be precise. Today, we'll be treating a topic in English called informal letter. Informal letter, a subtopic under informal letter, features of informal letter. Before we go deep into the features of an informal letter, I want us to first take a look at this topic so as to help us understand better what an informal letter is all about, in case you come across similar topics that is related to this. Now, before I proceed to talk about what I have on the board, an informal letter is a letter that we write to people who are close to us. People in this category are our parents, our friends, our loved ones, our close relations, people that we're very close to. Another name for an informal letter is a friendly letter. It's a friendly letter because it gives room to people to air their view the way they feel about situations of life. It gives room for a chatty environment, or it creates an avenue for one to air one's view without holding anything back. Now, today, like I said, that an informal letter is a friendly letter. So we have a topic here on the board, a letter written to a friend. So we're going to use this topic on the board to help us know more about how to write an informal letter. Now, the topic says, a friend of yours has just changed school. Write a letter to him, stroke her, telling him, stroke her, about two important things that have taken place in your school. Now, who are you writing the letter to? To a friend. Now, we know that we're writing a letter to a friend of yours in another school. Okay? Now, remember, our introduction says that informal letter is a friendly letter. So we're writing it to a friend. As I write it to a friend, you can also write to a family, your parents, your relatives, your uncles. You can also write to a distant relation. Okay, now we'll be using this very topic on the board to buttress more on this informal letter, features of an informal letter. So let's proceed. Like I said earlier, that an informal letter is a letter we write to people who are our friends, who are close to us. And this type of letter, it is very, very important for you to know that the language of this letter varies. It's not like the language you use for a formal letter. Remember, there are three types of letters we have in English language. We have the formal and an informal letter. So for the purpose of this class, informal letter, I want us to take a look at some of the basic things that we need to know before we go into the features of an informal letter. Informal letter, like I said earlier, is a friendly letter. It's a friendly letter because it gives room for one to air or say what he or she wants to feel about any situation or anything without restricting or without holding anything back, because it gives you room to flow the way you want to, the way you chat with your friends and relate with them. It gives you room for you to do that. And it's not a strict type of letter. It's a letter that gives you room to be conversational. It gives you room to be naughty at times. So probably you're writing to a friend. Now we look at the language of this letter. This type of letter is a loose kind of letter. Okay? It is not a strict type of letter. What I mean loose is, in the language, you are permitted to use some loose words. Remember, you're free to ask about the person's welfare. You're free to ask about the person's family background. And you're free to discuss without having anything. Okay? So it gives you room to discuss the way you would love to discuss with your friends or family. Now, that will now take us over to the features of an informal letter. The number one step we take on when you're writing an informal letter is the writer's address. the writer's address, it's very, very important, and the date. And the next step is the opening salutation. After the opening salutation, we have what we call the introduction. The first step is the body in paragraphs. The fifth step is the conclusion. The sixth step is the closing salutation. And the seventh step is the writer's first name. Fine, I just listed this out because I'm going to have a sketch on the board to elaborate more on the features of an informal letter. Now let's elaborate on this very topic on the board. The first step, which is under the features, which is the writer's address. When you want to write an address, generally, in English language, you are advised that there are two types of formats we use in writing an address of the writer. We have what we call the block form and the slanty form. The block form and the slanty form. The block form goes this way. It must be straight down. And the slanty form also goes this way. But in school, we advise the students to adopt the block format because it is easier to write. Unlike the slanty form, you need to follow a certain pattern for you to be able to write it accurately and the way it is acceptable. Now let's take a look at, let's write using a particular address. Like I said earlier that the block form is the approved type of address for writing. Okay, now let me use an address to buttress more on the first step under the features of an informal letter. Let's assume your house address is 25 Afola Kemi Crescent. Let's assume that your house address, or my house address is 25 Afola Kemi Crescent. I have the name of the street written this way, 25. Some people are fond of writing NO plus the number of the house. It's a wrong format. It's a wrong format of writing an address. Please, it's wrong. It is wrong, absolutely wrong to write NO before the number of your house address. So the approved is to write the number of your house, if it's 25, if it's 1, if it is 5, if it is, it can be 25B, it can be plot 5, 26, Crescent Avenue, whatever it is, but please do not write NO before the number of the house. Now you'll also observe that in each word I begin with a capital letter. So each first letter of each word begins with a capital letter. Okay, a capital letter, and at the end of the line ends with a comma. Now, this is the name of a street. Where is this street situated? 25 Avola Kemi Crescent is situated at, off Iju Ishaga Road, comma. Now, where is Iju Ishaga Road? It's somewhere Agege, around Agege. Okay? And where is Agege? Because it's the end of our address. At the end of the line, we also end with a comma. Agege is situated in Lagos State. So at the end of this, Lagos State is the end of my address, because we are writing to someone who is in another school, and because the person is in another school, you are not asked to write to someone in another state. So you indicate where the state where your letter is coming from. Assuming you're writing to someone who is outside the state where you are, it will be advisable, it's important that you end it with you have a comma here now, and then you end it with Nigeria, indicating that your letter is coming from Nigeria, and this is the end of our address. But since you're not writing to someone who is outside the country, you restrict, or your address ends here with the state, so we end it with a full stop. Please note that each word begins with a capital letter, and at the end of each line ends with a comma. It is important you put your commas, because your punctuation marks makes your written English interesting, more especially your address. If your punctuation marks are not there, sincerely speaking, whatever you have written will make no meaning at all. So once you punctuate appropriately, you don't have a problem. Now this is the block format of the address, well written, without any problem. All you need is just to follow in line with what you have first, like that. Make sure it's on the same line. Now the next step we take here is our date. The date. Now today's date is, okay, let's assume today's date is 15th May 2020. Full stop. This is the way a date is written, 15th May. Please, on no account must you take this TH up here. Some textbook will tell you that, or some textbook may write putting the H, the TH at the top. Please, it doesn't make any sense, and that's not the right way to write the address. The perfect way to write the address, the date, is 15th TH. The May, the month, must be in capital M. There is a comma after the month, followed by the year. After the year ends with a full stop. Now, there is most students in school always have a problem with the date, because you find out that some textbooks as well, let me always refer to textbooks. I want to make you understand something. It's not everything you see on the textbook or in the textbook is the correct thing. Some textbook will write the address this way, 15/5/2020. This is the wrong format of writing one's date. Please note that this pattern is wrong and is not acceptable for those of you in junior class. And if also in senior class, this pattern is not acceptable. And some also will also write like this. It's wrong to write this way, May 15th, 2020. It's also wrong to write your address this way, because this is an American pattern of writing an address, while this is a British pattern of writing an address. And because we run here in Nigeria, we run a British curriculum, this is the appropriate and accurate pattern of writing a date. So this one American pattern, we're not running American curriculum here, so we adopt this very pattern. Now that will be it with the address. The number 2 step to take is the opening salutation. Now look at this, we are writing a letter to a friend in another place. So let's assume I'm writing to a friend of mine who is probably in another school, living somewhere in another local government. Now, you do not leave a line. Please do not leave a line. Immediately after your date, do not leave a line to start this. You start the opening salutation on the next line, by the left-hand side of the next line, immediately after your address. So we have dear, plus the name of the person you're writing to. Let's dear Mary. Dear Mary. So the dear must begin with a capital letter, and the name of the person must also begin with a capital letter. Please, on no account must you write dear friend. Some people will write dear friend. Is wrong. Is wrong. There's nothing like dear friend. And please do not, it's also important that you know it's not good to write using a small letter to write a name of a person, to begin a name of a person, because this is a noun. You must begin all names of persons with a capital letter. You don't write names in capital letters. You don't write this in capital letters, just as you don't write your address with capital letters. Please note, it is important that you don't write your address with capital letters. All right, let's proceed. Now, after the opening salutation with a comma, that will take us to the third feature, introduction. Introduction, the next thing you do is to open a paragraph. You're writing to a friend. So under the first paragraph, you exchange pleasantries. Remember, I told you that this type of letter is a friendly type of letter. It gives you room to exchange pleasantries, ask about the person's well-being, and seek to know how the person you're writing to is faring. So you start with, how are you? There's nothing wrong in asking, how are you doing? And like that, you can also ask about the person's welfare and the family and also studies. Now you end there. Under the same introduction, because our introduction begins on a paragraph of its own, it is important to know that under your introduction, to introduce your purpose of writing. So our purpose of writing is to tell a friend about 2 important things that have taken place in your school. So when you're done exchanging pleasantries, the next step is, I am writing this letter to tell you about 3 important things. That have happened in my school. Full stop. Now this is the introduction. After you must have exchanged pleasantries, you also state your purpose of writing. Now, number 4, the next step we take is the number 4. Number 4, where we have the body in paragraphs. Our body is where we now have to discuss the purpose of writing in details. Remember, it talks about, the topic says 2 important things that have happened in your school. In other words, you have to create another paragraph here. Let's say another paragraph to talk about one of the important things that has happened in your school. Let's say one of them is, maybe there is a new inaugurated board that runs your school now. So you need to talk about it. Detailed information. With detailed information to buttress more on the point you have raised. So when you're talking about the body, if you raise any point you raise, ensure that you have enough information to buttress the point that you have raised. Now, when you're done discussing this, let's say this ends here. The next paragraph, where you talk about the second important things that have happened also in your school. So you can also talk about the second thing, secondly. So you discuss like that, it continues. Now, when you're done, we talk about the conclusion. Under your concluding part, the conclusion, where you summarize all that you have written, all the basic things you have written in brief. It could be 1 or 2 sentences. You just summarize all that you have written. Now, when you're done with the conclusion, you move over to the closing salutation. Now, under this, it is important to note that the approved closing salutation for informal letter is yours sincerely. Yours sincerely. The approved closing salutation for WAEC, approved for WAEC junior students in JS3, those of them that will be writing Junior WAEC very soon, or Becker exam, the approved closing salutation for informal letter is yours sincerely. Please, I want you to note something. Under yours, the Y here must begin with a capital letter Y. There is no apostrophe before X. Please note that. Some people will write it this way, apostrophe before X. Yours is wrong. It's a wrong format. So it is important to know that there is no apostrophe before X and there is no apostrophe after X. Some will also put a comma after the X. It is wrong. Small letter will begin with a small letter X. Some people write beginning with a capital letter. The only capital letter we have in all is just yours, the capital Y. The rest are written in small letters, and your spelling is very, very important. So after yours sincerely, we have a comma at the end of the line. Lastly, the writer's first name, which is the last part of this letter. The writer's name, let me assume my name is Esther. So I end it with Esther. Your first name is all we need for this type of letter. You don't need to write your surname. Your surname is not important. It's not needed for this type of letter. Esther, and then you end it with a full stop. A full stop. Now, this is the different features of an informal letter. We have the writer's address, we have the date, we have the opening salutation, we have the introduction, we have the body in paragraphs, and the closing salutation, boldly written in here. Now, that will take us to the end of our topic for today, the topic informal letter. I know you enjoyed today's topic, and please, if you find this very topic interesting, click on the like button, and also you can leave a comment if there is any suggestion or probably any question you wish to discuss as regards to this topic. Thank you and have a wonderful day.